Joao Pedro secures the crucial win for Chelsea against Fluminense that sees Chelsea actually proceed to the Club World Cup final. Two incredible goals, and how he did it was so spectacular. And when you look at this structure, you notice that Maresca actually changed again, and Maresca is doing these tactical changes that is actually making him quite unpredictable. Like, look at this lineup here. 3 defenders, 1 midfielder. People thought that Nkunku might play out wide. He actually decided to play Neto down the left, and it worked. It was a very, very heartbroken reunion for Thiago Silva and Chelsea, as Chelsea managed to knock Fluminense out, and Thiago Silva was the captain of Fluminense. Now, one thing we need to know is that looking at this structure, the table, you can see that Chelsea have actually reached the final. And whatever people try to say that Chelsea's journey was weak, it's a lie, because Manchester City were there and Manchester City didn't make it out of the round of 16, but Chelsea have made it to the final, and they have made it by beating South American teams. Now, there was a huge scare towards the end of the game, especially with Caicedo's late injury as he twisted his ankle, but Maresca said that he has told Caicedo that he needs to do whatever necessary so that he will be on the pitch on Sunday, and I think that but on Sunday, Caicedo will be okay. Now, Joao Pedro came into the team. He gave a very good post-match review, talking about how he has felt welcome and he has felt comfortable in the team. And he's actually looking to be the pole position of Chelsea's next number 9. But before we even start this analysis, if you are new in this channel, subscribe. If you are watching this video, like it. Share it with your friends. We begin. Now, Maresca has really been creating and altering his tactics throughout the Club World Cup. Some of us are even thinking that he's using this as a pre-season to actually see what he can actually bring into the team next season that are going to make Chelsea much more dynamic. And how is this happening? Now, Chelsea lined up with a 4-2-3-1, but the slight changes was Jackson did not start and Nkunku started. The way Chelsea were looking to build up, or they were trying to build up with their fullback starting wide and their goalkeeper stepping out, as they wanted to create that 3v2 overload over Fluminense's forwards. You can see here, look at the position of Sanchez, the position of Adrabayo, and the position of Chalobah. And you can see that 3-2 overload that is making Chelsea being able to build. And look at the position of Cucurella and Malo Gusto. Now, when Chelsea were in this position, is that they were able to outnumber the opponent and even sometimes play the ball to Caicedo, who would play the ball to the fullbacks who were free. Players like Fernandes and Nkunku were occupying those half-space positions, and Cucurella's main aim was to draw in the wing-back and then play the ball in behind for Neto. And we saw time and time again Pedro Neto receiving the ball in space. As you can see here, the ball is with Chelsea, and look at the position of Cucurella and the position of Neto. Neto, who's a right winger, started down the left, while Chelsea wanted to overload by creating that diamond in midfield. Because once the ball is played to Cucurella, as you can see in this case, Fernandes has dropped short, played the ball to Cucurella, but now Cucurella is receiving the ball and is able to play the ball to Pedro Neto. And in this scenario, Pedro Neto receives this ball, uses his skills, beats the wing back, and is having Chelsea making that run. Now, it was quite interesting when Chelsea now had the ball in possession, in that Chelsea actually adapted. Now Chelsea moved into a 3-1-3-1 structure. And what was this structure? This structure saw Caicedo as the only solo pivot, with Nkunku moving to the right half space, Palma playing as a second striker, and Enzo Fernandez playing as the left half space, as you can see here, with both Nkunku and Palma and Fernandez dropping momentarily. Here, Chelsea have the ball, and you can see how Nkunku and Palma's movement are disorienting the opposition's midfield. And because of this structure, they were able to outnumber Fluminense's midfielders in zone 14. And even if Fluminense decided to press aggressively high and stop Chelsea from playing initially, Chelsea will always find their way by playing the ball to the wide centre backs. And that's why players like Cucurella were receiving the ball with a lot of acres of space, ready to actually get the ball and look to play the ball outwards to players like Neto. And that's why Neto had a lot of opportunities to actually go 1v1, because here Cucurella is receiving the ball, but you cannot see the pressure. Even if they try to clog the midfield, the wide areas are actually remaining open. And why is this so? Chelsea identified that even though they were looking to go wide, the position of Nkunku, who had a very good game, was dropping in between the lines, receiving the ball and looking to use Malo Gusto's overlap. You can see here Chelsea have the ball, and look at how short Nkunku has dropped. Nkunku is spotting the space. He has dropped deep. He receives the ball from Adrabayo. Once he receives the ball, pulls a midfielder out, is able to play the ball back to Chalobah, and Chalobah is able to play the ball back to Malo Gusto, who has that overlapping space. And because Chelsea were trying to create that overload against the opposition wing back, they were looking to create these 2v1 scenarios that would give them numerical advantage when they were trying to play. And sometimes they will slip the ball in between the lines and look to play the ball onto the fullbacks, who are actually playing more like wing backs, to attempt crosses in the box. And because of the overload that they were creating with Palmer and Fernandes, Fluminense tried to play quite narrow. And that is where Chelsea were looking to switch up play, especially towards Neto, who will now have the ability to make the run and actually look to create something. As you can see here, Chelsea have the ball. Cucurella plays the ball onto Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro uses an incredible flick to actually flick the ball to the path of Neto. Neto is now receiving the ball, attacking the opposition, and just look at the space. Look at the way they are actually having the opposition run behind. Neto is having the ball, tries to whip in a cross, which is deflected by Thiago Silva. The ball now falls onto Pedro Neto. So not Pedro Neto, Pedro Joao. Joao receives the ball, finesses it into the far right post corner, where the no goalkeeper actually saves this kind of shot. He finesses it, he scores very spectacular goal that sees Chelsea actually score the first goal of the game. And the second goal of the game was also through counter pressing and the counter attack. Now, what about Chelsea when Fluminense had the ball? Now, when Fluminense had the ball, the role of Thiago Silva was so important, in that Thiago Silva will drop deep and take the ball from the goalkeeper and look to play the ball to the wing back. But this is where Chelsea's aggressive fullbacks came in. Chelsea are looking to press. Chelsea are even altering their pressing structure to a 4-2-3-1. And in this structure, it forces Thiago Silva to come deep, receive the ball from the goalkeeper, and look to switch the ball towards the wing back. And once the ball is played towards the wing back, what you notice is that Gusto steps out aggressively to try and cover and deny the wing back the time and space with the ball. And what you notice here is that when Gusto wins this ball, Chelsea have enough numbers in attack. But sometimes the wingbacks were able to receive the ball and return the ball to areas where Fluminense had some kind of dominance. Now, in this situation, Chelsea again maintained their 4-2-3-1 structure while defending. They shifted from a 4-4-2. And their main aim was to have those front three looking to press the three centre backs, and Fluminense even shot themselves in the foot by playing miss passes that Chelsea actually intercepted. Like here, Cucurella intercepts. Once Cucurella intercepts, he plays the ball to Joao Pedro. But Joao Pedro plays an incredible flick, thinking that Cole Palmer was in space. But once he plays this flick, Cole Palmer had not made that run. If Cole Palmer made that run, then Joao Pedro actually puts Cole Palmer in a 1v1 position with the goalkeeper, where Palmer is able to score. But that did not actually happen because the flick was actually intercepted by the wide left centre back. But you can just see the glimpse of Pedro Neto's gameplay, which I'm going to analyze in depth. And when Fluminense tried to go long, Chelsea had the credit of having one of the tallest centre-backs, Adrabayo, winning that ball and heading that ball to Caicedo. As you can see here, Caicedo is actually looking to win that aerial duel. Once that aerial duel is won, Chelsea immediately looked to counter-press. But sometimes Fluminense, when they won that ball, their main aim was to target Chelsea's wide areas. And once they targeted Chelsea's wide areas, they would draw fullbacks out of position. Cucurella, like here, Cucurella stepped out and Adrabayo came, and Adrabayo covered for Cucurella. And that was something that Fluminense really tried, trying to isolate Chelsea's centre backs and also trying to isolate Chelsea's fullbacks. But Chelsea's pressing was so intelligent, was so aggressive, and majority of the time they were able to force turnovers higher up the pitch. And the 4-2-3-1 defensive structure was so important considering that Chelsea were not pressing with their usual 4-4-2 and their wingers staying quite wide to cover their wide centre backs. Now, we saw Palmer getting agitated in this game because Jackson did not pass the ball to him in a very crucial point of the game, which I think that Jackson should have done better to play the ball to Cole Palmer. And then the midfield duo of Caicedo and Fernandes stood up again, showed why they are actually one of the best midfield duos that Chelsea will ever have. And not will ever have, that Chelsea currently have. Sorry about that. But you could see the intent that Chelsea have in this scenario. Then we move on to the next thing was Fernandes, who actually gave an assist and now has 17 assists and 9 goals in this season. For Chelsea, the season is not over. And you could see now there is a player there. He's stepping up as a captain and he's doing what it takes. And then on to our final take is how Joao Pedro has come in, how Joao Pedro is looking to be Chelsea's new starting number 9, and how Jackson's career at Chelsea is further falling into doubt. I'm going to do a video specifically targeted on Joao Pedro, his debut, and what he has actually done. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video. Bye.